In this video, the first theorem which we are going to discuss gives certain properties of open sets. First of all, let XD be a metric space. That means X is your set and D is metric on your set X. Then the first property which this theorem says is X is an open subset of itself. That means every metric space is open inside itself. This is very obvious thing because you are working inside X only. So the proof goes like this. Here I have given the proof to show that your metric space X is open inside itself. You need to show for any element small x inside your capital X, you can find a positive real number R such that open ball centered at X of radius R totally lies inside X. This is what you want to prove. But since you are working inside X only, there is no question of going outside X. That is the whole space in which you are working. So if you have any element small x inside your metric space capital X, then doesn't matter what positive r you are taking, you take any r greater than 0, this open ball bxr will totally lie inside your metric space capital X. Hence you can conclude your capital X is open. Second property which is listed in this theorem is phi is an open subset of X. Now the proof goes like this. Here I have written phi is open because it does not have any points. Thus the condition to be checked is vacuous. You can see in other way also. Suppose I am saying phi is open and you are contradicting my statement and saying that phi is not open. Then what I will do? Then I will tell you, okay, give me a point x inside phi which will violate the condition of open set. Violate the condition of open set means what? You give me a point x inside phi such that for that x I cannot find r greater than 0 such that my open ball bxr is subset of phi. You cannot give me any element because phi does not contain any element. Then you have to accept that phi is open. So this is how some argument goes. You have to accept these arguments. Third, arbitrary union of open set. A arbitrary union of open sets is open. The third property, this is very important property. What does it mean? If you have a collection of open sets, say U alpha, where alpha is in some index set I, then union of U alpha, alpha in that index set I is again open. Now first of all, understand what do we mean by index set. Index set is a set whose element labels, or you can say numbers, the member of other set. For example, say you are counting number of people in particular region, then how will you count 1 2 3 4 5 6 in that way? So you can say your index set is set of natural number there. Suppose in some counting your counting starts from 0, then you will say 0 1 2 3 4. Suppose this is how you have counted, then your index set will be 0 1 2 3 4. So that is what we mean by index set. Element of index set labels, or you can say numbers, the members of other set. uh, Arbitrary union, I am saying, that means doesn't matter how many open sets you have, union of all those will be again open. That means even if you have this union as infinite union, that is again going to be open. Let's see the proof of this statement. So we will stick to the definition of open set. That means if we take any element x inside this union, we should be able to find positive real number r greater than positive real number r such that bxr is subset of this union. So start, let x belong to this union. X belong to this union, that means x belong to some member of this union. So you can say for some particular I in that index set, x belong to that u suffix I. Since ui is again open, there exists r greater than 0 such that bxr is subset of ui. But ui is subset of this union because ui is one of the element inside this union. So you can say you have found r greater than 0 such that bxr is subset of union of u alpha. Alpha is in index set I, and as x was any arbitrary element, you can say it follows for each x. Therefore, union of u alpha, alpha in that index set I is again open. So this is how the third property proved. Now the fourth, finite. Remember here I am saying now finite intersection. I am not saying arbitrary. So There might be some problem with arbitrary that we will see later. So I am restricting myself to finite intersection here. So finite intersection of open set is again open. That means if you have a collection uj, say j is running from 1 to n of open sets, then intersection of uj, j running from 1 to n is again open. Let's see the proof. If intersection of uj is empty, in part 2 of this theorem you have already proved that that is open. So in that case the statement will be true. So assume that intersection is non-empty. So let x belong to this intersection uj, j running from 1 to n, arbitrary element x. Now x belong to uj, intersection of uj, that means x belong to each uj. So what you have, x belong to each uj and each uj is open. That means there exists a corresponding positive real number rj, such that open ball centered at x of radius rj is subset of uj. This you will have for each j running from 1 to n. Now I want r such that my bxr is subset of this intersection. Now if I want my bxr to be subset of this intersection, that means I want my bxr to be subset of each and every uj where j is running from 1 to n. So what I will do, what r should I choose? I will choose my r to be minimum of rj. And we know the property that if r is less than s, bxr is subset of bxs. So r, if I choose minimum of rj, so r is less equal each rj. So what you will have, bxr is subset of bxrj and bxrj is subset of uj. Therefore you have found a real number r such that bxr is subset of uj for every j. That means bxr is subset of intersection of uj. Hence you can conclude intersection of uj is open. Next definition which we have is interior of a set. Now what does this name suggest? Interior. Interior means inside. Exactly, that is what we mean by interior of a set. A point which is inside your set will be called interior point of that set. Now how to write it in terms of metric? Let's see. If you have a metric space x comma d and you have a subset S of x, then a point x in S will be said to be an interior point if you can find a positive real number r such that open ball centered at x of radius r is subset of S. I'll repeat myself. A point x in your S, a point x of your set S is said to be interior point if you can find a positive real number r such that bxr is subset of S. The set of all interior point of S is denoted by S naught. This is the symbol which we are going to use. Here two figures I have shown just to have a visualization of an interior point of a set. In the first figure, your set S is the region bounded by this red dotted lines. I have taken 2 points x and y. For x, I have shown an open ball bxr which lies totally inside S, and therefore you can say x is interior point of S, and that is what I have written, x belongs to S naught. For y, I have shown an open ball byr which intersect your S but does not lie totally inside S, and that will happen for any positive real number you take. If you take a very small r, your open ball byr will totally lie outside of your set S, and if you take some bigger r, positive r, it might intersect your set S but it will never lie totally inside your set S. Therefore you can say y is not an interior point of your set S. Therefore here that is what I have written, y does not belong to S naught. In the second figure, your set S is the region bounded by this square shown in the blue dotted line. Here I have taken 3 points x, y and z. Here I have shown an open ball bxr centered at x of radius r which lies totally inside S. Therefore you can say x is interior point of your set S. That means x belongs to S naught. Whereas for y, whatever r, positive r you choose, and if you draw open ball centered at y of that radius r, byr, it will intersect S but it will not totally lie inside S. Some part of that open ball will go outside of your set S. Therefore you can say y is not an interior point of your set S. For the same reason you can say Z is also not an interior point of your set S. Here I have written that Y and Z does not belong to S naught. So this was the definition of interior point of a set. We have next lemma regarding this interior point. What does this lemma says? If you have a metric space x comma d, S is subset of X, then these three conditions will hold. That means S naught, that means set of all interior point of S naught is open. Let's see the proof. Then we will see the second and third statement. Now, remember when I am saying open, that means S naught is open set. So what you want to prove, if you take any x inside S naught, you can always find R such that BXR totally lies inside S naught. That is how you show that a set is open. Let's start the proof. First condition is, if your S naught is empty set, we have already shown that empty set we always treat it to be open, then you can say S naught is open. Now suppose your S naught is not empty, then it will have at least one element, say X belong to S naught. Now I want to find R such that BXR is subset of S naught. Now by definition of S naught, what is definition of S naught? It is interior set of all interior points of S. That means X is interior point of S. Now X is interior point of S. That means what? There exists a positive real number R such that open ball centered at X of radius R is subset of S. But this will not do our job. We want to show that an open ball BXR totally lies inside S naught. Here we are getting it is subset of S. But we want to show now BXR is subset of S naught. Now the standard technique we will follow. Let element Y belong to BXR and show that Y belong to S naught. So let's start. You have Y in you have taken Y inside BXR. If Y belongs to BXR, what will happen? This is an open ball and you already know that an open ball is also an open set. By that condition, what you will have, there exists a positive real number R dash such that open ball centered at Y of radius R dash is subset of BXR. But BXR is already a subset of S. So what you have got? This says there exists a positive real number such that R dash, we are saying that BY R dash is subset of S. That means Y is also an interior point of S. Y is interior point of S. That means where it should belong, Y will belong to S naught. But what was your Y? Y was an arbitrary element of BXR. In that way, you have shown BXR is subset of S naught. And that proves S naught is an open set. Second condition of the lemma is S naught is the largest open set contained in S. That means it is not only open, it is the largest open set inside your set S. Now, what do we mean by largest open set? That means if you have any other subset which is open in S, then that cannot be bigger than S naught. That means that has to lie inside S naught. Let's see the proof. Suppose T is any arbitrary subset, open subset. You say T is any arbitrary open subset of S. And now we will show that T is subset of S naught. That will prove that S naught is the largest open set contained in S. For that, you want to show T is subset of S naught. We will follow the standard technique again. Let X belong to T. And we will show that X belong to S naught. X belong to T, and what is T? T is open. So there exists a positive real number R such that BXR is subset of T. Now BXR is subset of T, but T is subset of S. So you have found a positive real number R such that BXR is subset of S. What does it tell? It tells that X is an interior point of S. If it is an interior point, where does it belong? X belong to S naught. And that proves that you will start means that proves T is subset of S naught, because you started with an arbitrary element X in T and you have shown that X belongs to S naught also. That means T is subset of S naught, and that proves if you have any open subset of S, that has to be subset of S naught. That means S naught is the largest open set contained in S. Now the third statement of your lemma is S is open if and only if each of its point is an interior point. That means, in other words, you can say S is open if and only if S is equal to S naught. Okay. So at many places, people keep this statement as the definition of open set. But here we will prove it. You first assume your S is open and now you want to show that S is equal to S naught. Now the other way implication is very simple, that S naught is subset of S, because S naught is a set of all interior points of S. That means it contains points of S only. That means it has to be a subset of S. Now we want to prove the other way around, that is S is subset of S naught. If we succeed in proving this, we can conclude that S is equal to S naught. Now start with a member in S and try to show that it belongs to S naught. So suppose your element small x belongs to S. Now again make the definition of open in use here. Since your S is open, you can find a positive real number R such that BXR is subset of S. Once you have BXR is subset of S, you can declare here X is interior point of your set S. Once you say X is interior point, that means X belongs to S naught, and that proves S is subset of S naught. So finally you can say S is equal to S naught. So this was one way implication. You assume that S is open and proved S is equal to S naught. Now for converse, you assume S is equal to S naught and try to prove S is open. The proof is not very difficult. Again, if you assume S is equal to S naught and now you want to show S is open, that means if you take any element Y inside S, you want to prove there exists R greater than 0 such that BYR is subset of S. This is what you want to prove if you want to prove S is open. So you have Y belong to it, but Y belongs to S. But what is S? S is equal to S naught. That means Y belong to S naught also. Y belongs to S naught. That means by definition of interior point of a set, there exists a positive real number R such that BYR is subset of S. And that is what exactly you wanted. And that proves that S is open. In that way, S is open if and only if S is equal to S naught. The statement is established.